All right, so I bought a broken brown truck from the 80s, okay? But I'm pretty excited about it. Winter's fast approaching in New York here, and what better way to spend the winter around town than working on a few project cars? I got like 4 project cars right now. But I'm not the only one that bought a project car.
Our man Jared here, the one behind the lens at the curb cut, went out and bought himself a Cressida. And it's brown too. So take a trip with us back to the 1980s. Welcome back to the curb cut. So it all started a couple months ago with a good friend of mine moving out to LA. Before he left New York, he was looking to sell his Dodge Raider. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the Raider is one of those cross-branded Mitsubishi Dodge models from the late 80s. Anyhow, I balked at my chance to buy his truck before he headed out west, but immediately became obsessed with wanting one for myself. You know, if I could find one worth buying. As luck would have it, a few weeks later I'm browsing Craigslist and I find this first-gen Montero listed out in LA. It looked clean enough in photos and the price was too good to pass up. Not to mention it came with a few other perks that I'll explain in a little bit. Anyhow, the seller was super honest about the condition of the car, and again, I couldn't pass up the price. There was really nothing to hide. I was sold. And you know, it's funny, when you really add it up, I basically traded my friend out to LA for a truck to remember him by. So here's what we got. A short wheelbase 1988 Mitsubishi Montero in cable box brown. It's a 2-owner truck with 0 rust. It's never been in an accident, pretty much pinned straight aside from a couple dings here and there, and wears the character of some vintage California patina. The thing is a gorgeous time capsule from the 1980s, with a few upgrades that make it even more special. I especially like the tip warning gauge on top of the dash. As the story goes, the previous owner purchased the car with a blown motor, and in the short time he owned it, he took up the task of swapping in a turbo Starion motor in its place. The G54B is a very cool upgrade over the stock power plant that originally came in the Montero, and everything bolts up pretty seamlessly. But then he stopped, as in the whole thing needs to be finished. But hey, plenty of fun left for me to have with it, no? It's missing some sensors, the interior is completely torn apart, the wiring is janky, it's untuned, and far from roadworthy. I have a good amount of work on my hands until I can truly assess if this is something I'm going to want to keep for myself or not. Again, at the end of the day, this thing is going to be contending with my very well sorted FJ62. Nevertheless, I'm really excited to stick my teeth into this thing. But enough about the Montero. Over here in old microwave brown, we have Jared's 1986 Toyota Cressida, the MX-73 if you're a Toyota nerd. And once again, we have a very clean survivor car here that deserves a second life as something even better. We found this car out in Pennsylvania a few months back. Turns out it was delivered to the East Coast from New Mexico, and the previous owner had ambitions of drifting the car. Thankfully, that idea never really got off the ground or onto the track. So once again, a big selling point here was the dry climate West Coast chassis. Anyhow, Jared's X73 here is a 5 MGE with a factory 5-speed. So for everyone who's unfamiliar, this is basically a super sedan for your 1980s 9-to-5er. A better share of the Cressidas you find on the market today are either factory automatics or cars that have been swapped at some point by previous owners. Beyond coming equipped with the coveted 5-speed, the previous owner went ahead and installed some coilovers and control arms. That makes the stance on this thing as comfortable as it is clean. The biggest plan for Jared's car here is going to be in the engine bay, however. See, Jared's 5M is on its last legs. And sure, we can rebuild it, but rebuilding this motor isn't going to make it any quicker. But don't expect another 2J swap. We've already got a few other options in mind. But hey, this is what you get when you buy a project car. And over the course of the next few months, we're going to be chipping away at our respective to-do lists and delivering some pretty big upgrades to these already promising cars. Oh shit, I gotta get mine started first. God damn. There we go.
君に素晴らしいフランス料理をご馳走しよう。そして最高級のホテルのスイートルームに招待しよう。君のそばにいると紳士らしくしている自信がない。爬虫類の血は冷たいが日本人の血は温かいよ。人生は素晴らしい。君も人生と同じように素晴らしい。